Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 39 of the Survival Project. Today's guest is Arthur O'Connor. At the age of 30, Arthur should have been thriving. He'd just come back from the happiest period of his life. He's a successful personal trainer, incredible shape. He recently got engaged and he's building a future with the woman he loved. Then something changed. What started as a few digestive issues then quickly spiraled into something much, much bigger. Severe fatigue, he had rapid weight loss, hormonal dysfunction, skin issues, heart palpitations, his vision was changing. There was literally inflammation throughout his entire body. Doctor after doctor told him something was wrong, but nobody could tell him why. So over the next year, Arthur would spend thousands of euro searching for answers while watching both his physical and mental health deteriorate. At his lowest point, he began questioning everything, his body, what the future could possibly be, even his own sanity. What if the thing making him sick wasn't inside his body at all? What if it was in the place he was calling home? This is a conversation about persistence, self-advocacy, and the importance of actually trusting your instincts when you know something isn't right. Before we get into it, I just want to say a massive thank you to Western Auto Parts and More for sponsoring today's episode. Support allows me to keep building the podcast and sharing these stories, and I really, really appreciate it. For all your motor needs, contact 091 790 14. Western Auto Parts are located in More Business Park, and all details are in the description. So, let's get into it. Arthur, thank you so much for joining me. Welcome to the Survival Project.
Thanks a million, bro. Happy to be here, to be honest.
Yeah, good to have you here. Would you mind diving into your story for us?
So the first time I kind of started noticing symptoms, man, was around December 2023. But going 3 months prior to that was when I was actually at my best. So it was strange the way, like, in the space of 3 months, I just started, this downfall started coming. 3 months prior was literally me and my partner, my fiance now, wasn't at the time, doing a photo shoot in Marbella. So in the best shape of my life, going over to Marbella. I was so excited to do it because secretly I knew I was getting engaged, proposing to Ismay, and she hadn't a clue. I was getting a professional photographer and it was for the shoot, so I was like, I might as well do two birds, one stone, and proposed to her. So she was so caught up in all that with the photo shoot and dieting, the first time ever doing it, and she hadn't a clue. So I went over. Went absolutely amazing. I done mine in the gym, she done hers in the beach. That's when I proposed to her. Everything went perfect. We brought her two friends to help me. They didn't, didn't have a clue that they were coming. They just thought it was just friends, so coming over on a group holiday. And yeah, just literally the happiest time of life. And then kind of fast forward to say the next month after was November. In Dubai, we went to pick Ismay's engagement ring, blah, blah, blah. This is slowly when I started noticing symptoms, because I just noticed the stomach was really getting off, and I thought it was just because of traveling. I was going to toilet, 10 plus times a day, and this never would have happened to me before, ever. I was like clockwork, not too much information, but it was always perfect and consistency and everything. I also got severe reflux over there, which I never would have suffered before. Just took Rennie's or Gaviscon, just got on with the holiday, trained, met my friends, drank, picked out Ismay's ring, then came back to Ireland and straight back into normal routine. This is when I really started to know symptoms like fatigue. When I got back, I just had post-holiday blues or whatever, but I was increasing my food because I was so lean for so long. So I was like, weight should start coming up. Stepping on the scales, weight wasn't coming up, and I was like, something's wrong here. And then I literally kept increasing food slowly. This is not going up. This is not normal. Because my body would have responded usually before, would have put up weight easily, would have been always a bigger guy. And at this stage, I was like maybe 74, 75 kilo. And I would walk around usually on the calories I was eating at 80, maybe mid 80s, high 80s. And kept pushing up food, and then the toilet kept coming more and more. Kind of pushed through it, ignored it, kept working, back into PTs, online coaching. I just kept getting worse, to be honest. He just felt horrible. Then is December 23 when the big slip happened. I got really sick, thought it was like COVID or something, and really high fever. It was around the time my mother's 70th birthday, and I actually missed it because I was that sick I couldn't go. And I actually even tested myself for COVID just to see, and it was all negative. And I was like, what is going on here? I noticed the constant cold hands and feet, and I was like, oh, I'm just getting the flu, or when we get sick we get cold hands, cold feet, or just shivers and chills. But they didn't stop. After a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, the constant coldness. And this was not like me, because I was usually, always sweaty hands, to be honest. I was rubbing my hands together, sweating, or if I'm holding the phone with sweaty hands, or in the gym, that disappeared straight away. So I was like, something's wrong here. And then it was just one symptom after another, to be honest. The worst I've ever felt in my life just was flattened. Basically, I'd go to work, come home in between, say, split shift. I had my morning clients from maybe 6 to 10, come home, eat, and I just have to fall asleep on the couch. I was just so fucked. I just literally couldn't keep my eyes opened. Then I'd just get a nap, pull myself together, be like, okay, I'll try and train. This went on for a long time. That was December 23. This went on till about March, really bad. And I was like, something has to be done. So went to the doctor, got bloods done first. There was little things off. I wasn't taking any notes at the time, because I wasn't diving into my bloods as much because I wasn't aware. And I'm the type of person, like, if it doesn't come knocking on your doorstep, why look into it? Because you'd be looking into everything in the world. Then you'd be like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this. It's just information overload, and you'd just be like freaking yourself out.
Completely
So
become a hypochondriac. Like.
basically, yes, you're just overanalyzing everything. So I'm just like, when it comes knocking on my doorstep, that's when I deal with it. And so I went to doctor. They were like, didn't have a clue what was going on. The bloods, and they're like, they look okay. A few things tiny bit off, like white blood cells was low. What else was off? White blood cells was low. My thyroid, my T4 was a bit high. Things I didn't even know at the time, but now obviously researching into it, become like nearly an expert in the field when you put so much hours in researching. Oh, doing 2.5 years later. Yeah, like a few of the things were off. So she basically said, oh, we'll send you into the hospital, get everything checked. They were like, oh yeah, there's a few things off. Nothing major. It could be just post-virus illness, and sent me on my way, and came home, started deteriorating more and more and more. And I was like, there's something going on here. This is really starting to annoy me. So I'm back to the doctor again, said to her, here, I'm really struggling. I can barely get through my day, making my life a misery. I'm sleeping. I'm going to bed so early, waking up unrefreshed, like just struggling to get through my day. I wasn't meeting anybody, just barring my clients. I was just trying to work through it and save my energy for work just to get through the next day. And I was praying every day I'd get through the next day. And then more symptoms started coming. I started getting like hair loss. I started getting weird rashes over my body. And my barber noticed as well when he cut my hair, like, my hair short, it was all like weird lumps. I don't know how to describe it. Like not even highs, but it was kind of raised out. And then I started getting like ice pick pains or like random pains everywhere. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I noticed my eczema got bad again, and then the gut issues. Couldn't eat foods, like just things I could eat before, like gluten and stuff. Couldn't. I mean, I looked 7 or 8 months pregnant when I had it, and the pain was just unbearable. Like, and then the fatigue after I ate something that my body didn't like. It was just like I literally had to get on the couch. It was just like, oh my God, I kind of shuffling from the kitchen table to the couch or the bed. Then more weird symptoms like eye twitching started. I kept having light twitching my eye for like probably about 6 months in my right eyelid. Do you know, like that? Do you know when people get that? You say from stress or fatigue, but it was 6 months, like every day,
Yeah.
and heart palpitations every time I lie down. Only when I lie down, I'd get the, like, someone was just like squeezing my heart, just a little squeeze every now and then. Do you know that sensation everyone gets and they go, oh, that little second, and then it goes. But I was
Yeah.
getting that, like, every time I lie down, it was so weird. When I lie down, standing, perfect. Even when I was training, even though I wasn't training half as much, wasn't able to. I went from training 5-6 days a week to, two. Obviously, with my job, with my profession, you kind of have to look good. Basically, selling myself as my job. Like, so, like, I can't be going in fat, overweight. My opinion, because I'm a
You're a walking advertisement for your work.
walking business card. So basically, I was just trying to do the bare minimum just to get by and maintain, just like, but then I just kept getting skinnier. People were noticing me, like, geez, are you cutting again? And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm eating like 3,000 plus calories and I'm getting skinnier, like really skinny now. And like, I went down to 72, 71 kilo, like below the shoot weight. And just from like my years of experience of eating and training, I knew exactly my body went up in weight and the calories when I went down. When I was in a surplus, when I was in deficit, when I was at maintenance. And that's all went out the window.
I remember that photo shoot and you were shredded. Like you were an unbelievable Nick for that photo shoot. And I suppose it's such a real, puts a spotlight on the fact that the internal might not be matching the external, because you were as fit as you could possibly ever. And I said you were feeling the best you'd ever felt, but suddenly inside there was something really brewing under the surface. What I want to kind of dive into there is you were experiencing issues with your hormones, your thyroid function, and you were getting severe fatigue. You went to the doctors then to kind of figure out what was going on. Did the doctors you went to initially connect these three things together, or were they kind of treating them as separate things?
First specialist I went to was an endocrinologist in Dublin, and I went to her, very expensive at the time. Didn't care. I was like, I'm going to put all my money into this. I just want to get better because I needed it for my mental health, for my job, for everything. Just gone 30 at the time. My testosterone could be a healthy level. Testosterone was 6.8 nmol. So basically what the range is like 8.9 to 27.9. I think it's top of my head. That's the range they say. So I was like lower than the bottom of the range. Like that's actually dangerous. It's called hypogonadism. That's actually causes a lot of other problems down the line. And That's not good. Basically, at 30 years of age, to be that low in testosterone when you're doing everything right. And I know I done a photo shoot like probably 7 or 8 months prior to that, but I was eating adequate foods and everything levels should have been coming up. And it was, she wasn't happy with that. She was like, there's something wrong here, but didn't want to put me on TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, because she said I was young. Basically, she asked me, obviously, I want kids. I was like, of course I want kids. 100% I want kids. And so she said, we'll leave it for now. We'll retest you in 6 to 9 months. 6 to 9 months. Went home again, not really knowing the wiser. And she didn't know why. When I was explaining all the symptoms, she just couldn't understand. And my thyroid was started going higher, my T4. So that means, like, your body's working overdrive. It's burning too much calories. And I was like, what is this? I was like, do I have hypothyroidism? She was like, could be a possibility of Hashimoto's. So I was like, just leaving there. I was very overwhelmed. Also, she done a fertility, and my fertility was so low. But she said at that very time, I wouldn't be able to have kids if I tried. But I wasn't actively trying with my partner to have kids then. We just wanted kids, but not there and then. So if we were trying at the time, there probably would have been something I would have noticed. Left there, just none the wiser. Went back again in the 6 months, got the retest. But in the meantime, I was passed around to other specialists. So I went back to doctor again. She wasn't really happy that, like, that's all they found. She thinks there was something else. So the low testosterone, obviously that drives a lot of energy and mood. Then I got forwarded to a rheumatologist, specialized bloods. Came back, I had a positive for dermatomyositis. It's like a myotosis profile. So this is not immune that attacks your skin and your muscle. And it just started escalating worse and worse. But basically, tried to put me on medication for that. And it was like steroids and some auto immune suppressant. I was very hesitant to take them, obviously.
Yeah. They have such a trigger effect on absolutely everything else. Like you want to really know that this is going to fix a problem, because God forbid it causes another problem. You were going around to specialist after specialist after specialist, not getting any answers. Symptoms are continuing to progressively get worse. And also the big financial burden that must come with seeing all these specialists. Like, it must have been such a hard time. And obviously stress has such a detrimental effect on our bodies and different things. Like your head must have been melted. Your body felt like it was like failing. How did you get through that? What was the next steps?
Oh, I kept going to specialists, to be honest, hoping for an answer. And it was probably easily spent. At the end of the year, I spent about 10 grand. And I was going, I was going to like more westernized medicine, like with all the specialists and stuff. And it was all just throwing medication at me, to be honest. And especially with the myotosis, the autoimmune condition, that came back only slightly positive. So I was like, I asked her, sure, I was not full blown yet. And she's like, no, but it's working its way towards it. So I was like, okay. I took that and then I left, took the medication. I did remember the only medication I did take was, and I'm not against medication now or anything like that. Medication saves people's lives, but I just knew there was something else wrong that was triggering this. I just didn't know at the time what it was.
There's a real root cause here, and you're only kind of putting a bandage on it. Like,
the gut was telling me, and I wasn't going to give up Jonathan until I found out, to be honest with you. It was just wrecking my head. So I kept getting passed around. I went to a urologist, MRI done down there. That was in the prostate because they wanted to check the prostate and everything. The rheumatologist said there was massive inflammation. Inflammation markers went up. I got scopes down because the stomach kept getting worse. I went to a gastrologist. I got in the endoscopy and the colonoscopy. So up and down, great crack.
yeah, it's horrible.
And the same day. And I remember my stomach was so bad. That was in June 24. On June, that I was starting, the blood in the toilet, basically when I was starting to go. So I was like, this is really getting scary here now. And I wasn't in a great place mentally at this stage because it was just wearing me down.
So I remember us talking about, there was a real fear it was going to be Crohn's or some type of IBD at the time, and because you were experiencing all the symptoms of it and things were just so uncertain, but you're also getting 50 other symptoms at the same time. You know, your body was in absolute turmoil. Like you couldn't function day to day because it was having such an impact. Obviously you were getting through the day, persevering through it, but it was having such a massive impact on everything. I know you mentioned to me before there was inflammation in the brain, prostate, eyes, gut, and the skin. Like, what must it have felt like to keep hearing the word inflammation without anyone actually coming out with any answers to you?
Yes, it was driving me crazy because that's what I said. And I'd go to another specialist and I said, like, there's inflammation. And sorry, I got an MRI in my brain. Got so much stress. I got sent into the bonds then after the general regional hospital just for a whole NCTs, they say. Everything, DTs, MRIs, everything. And that's when I got all the results back and there was a common trend. Every specialist came into my bed and told me it was inflammation. There was inflammation in the brain. There was inflammation in my eyes. There was inflammation in my prostate. inflammation. Well, my skin, because like it was flaring, there was inflammation every fucking where. Jesus, I was my
God, like, yeah.
inflammation. Like I should just change my name. Oh, it was really like just I didn't know what was going on. I was like, this is just my life now. This is just the way it's meant to be. Was this the way what happens when you turn 30? And I don't know, but I was really bad at what it was debilitating symptoms, and
Of course.
my partner knew and she seen it. Then I was like, do you know what? I went back. Mental health kind of deteriorated bad because after the stomach was that bad when I was passing blood, I missed one of my best friend's wedding because I couldn't go. And every social outing, because I was just so afraid of doing something bad to my body because it was so brittle that I'd set myself back. And then being self-employed, I had to carry my business as well and try and keep business up and try and keep a front on my face, smile. And especially my job with PT and one-to-one, it was so intense and the online that you're the person representing you and you have to portray to your clients that you're perfectly healthy and this is how to live healthy. Even
Yeah.
though I was living so healthy, but my body wasn't. I wasn't doing anything bad, and it kind of like it was really hard mentally. It was probably the worst mental state I've ever been in my life. Like anxiety, just feeling down. I hate using the word depression because I knew I wasn't depressed properly. If that makes sense. I'm just such an upbeat person, but it was leading me to be down and not getting out of bed and just getting out of bed to work. And I was working through it. But I knew I was mentally not in a great place at all.
When you were going through all this and not getting answers, was there a point where you kind of started questioning your own sanity? You're kind of thinking like, what's going on in here? Am I making this up? No one's giving me answers. What the hell is happening?
Yeah, 100%. And that's when it started really spiraling down with like my mental health, my anxiety and stuff like that, because I was pushing people away. My friends, they probably thought it was, though at the time, they probably thought I was going to be flaky or pushing them away because I just couldn't go to a social outing. I couldn't even eat out because if I ate anything more than like a few, maybe 7 or 8 sort of food groups, I was fucked for the day. I was triggered like, and I couldn't even get out of bed then. And it just took its toll. And like, I'm so glad that like I talked to my friends about this. Maybe I held it long enough, but I worked through it and they obviously see me working. They're like, there's nothing wrong with them then, do you know?
You have to save your energy for the things that puts food on the table.
And like, I couldn't even comprehend to them and trying to say this to another Irish lad. They just wouldn't understand it. So yeah, it took its massive toll on me mentally. And then I just started looking in. After sulking for a while, one day I just like, do you know what? I either live a life like this, I don't know what's going to happen down the line with my mental health, or just take initiative and just go find the answers myself.
No one's going to save me. I have to save myself. What did you do to kind of find answers and start fixing the issues that were going on?
I started looking at functional medicine because they dive deeper into tests, to understand their blood tests. I knew of this Dr. Dean St. Mert. He was the first person to introduce me to the problem. And basically hopped in the call like me and you were doing here now, consultation with him. He said, show me your environment where you're living. And this was the light bulb moment. This is like, oh my God. Showed him around and we lived in an apartment at the time for about 4.5 years and it was mold ridden. Like, I mean, like the corners up in the corner was all black. The roof was all black. In our presses was mold. Like it was just very bad. But we put up because I didn't know. The building was very water damaged. You'd see like the big stains in the roof from up above. We're in an apartment complex at the time. And it had a musky smell. Like if we brought people over, John, like one of my mates, Angie, he was like, Jesus, the first time he came over, he was like, not a musky smell in here or something. And he's like, these places damp, like the walls. Gee, it was visible, like you'd see in the corners all black mold and the window sills was black. And no matter how much cleaned it in the shower, it was just through the roof and you see the paint peeling a bit. And again, letting landlord know, but you're
Wasting your time, like.
Irish landlords, do you know what I mean? Like they don't care. They say that's a bit of mold, just they paint over it. You know. So that opened up my eyes into that. And then basically, so I had that call with him for me. He goes, it's your environment. The environment is making you sick. He's like, okay, what we're going to do first is he arranged me to do these bloods in a private place, done them. One was genetic testing, very expensive, very, very expensive. I think it was like €890 for one genetic test. Then I got this urine mycotoxin test. So it's a urine test to see what toxins are in the body. It picks up particularly mold and other toxins around that we live in. That was like €550 alone. Literally piss into a cup and send it off with GPS to Germany and it comes back. And he had to order all that on my behalf because he's a doctor and a functional doctor. I couldn't you can't, an average person can't just order it in labs. So I did that, waited for them to come back. Lo and behold, it came back with the urine mycotoxin test came back and the levels of mold in my system was out of this world. It was just Like it showed as a graph, like it's such a detailed test. It was class. I never seen such a test so detailed. Showed exactly the levels, and it was like I was in the red, danger zone, like, and it was a certain mold because there's so much strains of mold. There's a certain mold called stereogomastin, and that's a mold only found in water or water damaged buildings. But this gave me so much clarity, Jonathan. It was, I nearly felt like crying. I was so happy. I was like, it's not in my head because as you said, I had all them thoughts. Maybe my friends were right. Even my sister, my best friend in the world, my sister, love her so much. She even said, "Oh, the mold." Because I was starting to think after the first call, Dean, John, waiting for the test to come back. She was like, "The mold couldn't be making that sick. There's mold in every Irish house." She did know. She did say, and even like Isma did say it was bad. You know, like it was bad. It was noticeably bad, the mold in our apartment. And even Isma at the time, she didn't feel well either when she was in there after a while. This is going into like the third year living there. This is when the symptoms started lining up with the time scale as well. Killing us slowly. Like, like it's actually like,
Yeah.
and she was like, well, why am I as bad as you? But she had symptoms like she got acne for the first time, beautiful skin like leather, as I say. She never put, she could put anything on her face and she wouldn't get a reaction. Where I would have been a bit more sensitive with eczema growing up as a child and stuff. But yeah, she started getting some symptoms as well.
So you finally got answers and finally went to someone who could explain what was going on. And you knew that your environment was the problem. And I suppose it speaks testament to everyone is so completely different that your partner was living in the same house as you. She wasn't experiencing what you were experiencing, but she did have a few little symptoms and things. Like all these things can affect us all differently. Genetic makeup, all this sort of stuff. Like what was the plan then to get you back to health?
Yes, exactly what you said about genetic makeup. So there is a thing about mold toxicity is that 25% of the world, they say it's affected by it. If you carry a certain gene and the gene testing came back, which I did carry, it's called HLA-DR. So basically my body, mold release mycotoxins. They're toxins, toxins that come into our body, attack our immune system, and they basically damage everything. They go systemically because they damage your gut first, and then you get leaky gut. And you know yourself, leaky gut, the walls of your gut opens up. Basically, then toxins go into your bloodstream, and then they go systemically attacking absolutely everything slowly. So it's not like overnight you go, oh my God. It relating back to my symptoms, I started noting bit by bit. And I didn't even name some of the symptoms I had there. There was maybe 30, 40 more symptoms I'm forgetting about on this call.
I remember just chatting to you over that you were literally in turmoil. The things that were coming up just made no sense. It was like everything was wrong. Everything you could imagine could possibly go wrong was going wrong for you.
Yeah, even my eyesight. It went to that bad because it's neurological. Mold causes neurological problems if you have that gene, if you can't detox it, and if it's in your system for so long, it's damaging everything. Like when I got my eyes tested, like even driving in the dark, first time ever, I was like, people say, oh, your eyes get bad and you get older. And I had like razor eye sight on. And then I was driving in the dark and I was able to get Ismail to drive. I was like, I can't really see. Not even the signs and stuff. It was gone pure blurry. And it was painful and the lights coming against me. Going back to the genetic testing. So basically, I had that gene. So this meant that my body was just going in an inflammatory loop. And this is what was causing all my problems because I couldn't detox it naturally. So say when we eventually moved out of the moldy apartment, at the time, I was like, this should go away now. But then I didn't realize that I had to detox manually. And Ismay got better once we moved out. I kept getting worse, man, way worse. And then that's when Dr. Dean passed me on to a different doctor that was specifically what to do with mold toxicity. And then it's the first time I heard the word SIRS. So SIRS is called, basically, it's chronic inflammatory response syndrome. And that's what was happening in my body. I didn't know this until, I got educated. I passed all my tests, on to this doctor, the blood test, everything. I mean, there was Google Drive. There was just so much folders of the amount of tests I'd done for like maybe 2 years, a year and a half prior. She knew straight away, look at your body, it's a mess.
I know what you said earlier about when you were eating food and afterwards, you just have to lie down afterwards. Like your gut was so impacted that even processing the food was taking so much of your energy out of it, like that you would literally have to lie down afterwards. Everything, the gut health is the number one. And it's become so widely acknowledged now that everything can tend to start in the gut. Like, so can you dive into the protocol that got you back on your feet?
There is one protocol that's only backed by literature that actually works. It's called the Shoemaker protocol. It's from the Dr. Richie Shoemaker. He was just a general GP, and then he realized seeing this trend of inflammation and people getting really ill, and he put the two and two together. Basically, that they were always in a water damaged building. So this was triggering the immune system to go into chronic inflammatory response syndrome. So your innate immune system just goes dysfunctional, and that's the thing that fights off diseases. So mine was just constantly on, and it was just wearing me down slowly, and I could see it. And then this is how I started reading about it to see that I liked since I found the root cause, I was like, I'm going deep in this. I'm going reading exactly everything. I was getting all the help, spent the thousands of euros on all this. And I was like, I'm going to invest into this, not just doing this thing and then not knowing. I've always been that person that asks why. And even my own clients, not waffling, but with my own clients, when I bring them coaching, I tell them why along the steps, this is why they're doing this. Instead of just do this, eat that calories, eat this. I'm like, this is going to get you to there, this is going to get you to there, and this is why. So that's what I done. Did the shoemaker protocol. If there was kind of times I had to pull back in it because I was always testing it. It's so different for everyone. It's a 9-step protocol. It's very detailed and it's very intense, to be honest.
How long before you started noticing you're like, oh, I think I'm on the right path here?
Probably about 5 or 6 months before I even started feeling better, because I was obviously so bad
Yeah.
that I had to, and there was a few moves in between. So we moved to another place, wasn't 100% mold free. I was working in a gym as well that was very moldy at the time. So I was still around it. So my toxic level, my bucket was so full, it kept spilling over. But then I started practicing the protocol and we finally got to a place where we are today. Thank God, just everything so clean, healthy now where I am. And I started taking the binders, everything basically followed the protocol. I don't want to go too much into it because it is very detailed. But people can look it up straight away or ask me questions about it if they want to go into more detail. Because it'll take
Yeah,
half.
100%. I'll write everything in the description, and I'll make sure your contact details are there if anyone wants to reach out. It really is testament to the power that you need consistency. Like 6 months, you could be at something for 3 months and thinking, this isn't working. Oh my God, I'm not seeing any results. But like it took you 6 months to get back on track. Like, so it really is, you have to stick to a defined plan and just go hell for leather. In Ireland, I know myself, since I came back from traveling, I've noticed my skin has gotten worse. When I left, I had spots all over my stomach. And when I was traveling for about 2 months, but after about the month mark, I was like, oh, the spots have completely disappeared. I was home 3 weeks and the spots have come back. And my diet has been so clean since I've come home. I haven't drank, haven't done anything. But I know the dampness in Ireland has always kind of had an effect on me. And like, there's no escaping mold anywhere in Ireland. We can all put our different damp traps and different things into the house. What are you doing now at the moment to ensure that the mold exposure doesn't trigger symptoms again?
So basically, constantly taking, like, if I feel like I'm getting worse, even though I'm not near where I want to be, but I'm a lot better. I can get through a day now. It did take probably, I know 6 months was the first I started noticing a bit better, but it was probably a year at least till I was maybe 30-40% better. Like I was in the ground, as I say to people, I was in the graveyard. My hormones were in the graveyard, as they say. Like I was the same testosterone levels as an 80-year-old man. So I had the energy of an 80-year-old man at 30, which made no sense. It makes sense now because we found out the root cause. Thank God.
I know that certain foods will have mytoxins. I know the coffee is one for mold exposure. Did you have to limit coffee?
Yeah, I didn't drink coffee in 2024 for about, I say, for the guts of the year because of that. And because my anxiety was so bad, I didn't know why all these neurological problems were happening at the time. Like I just couldn't, because coffee was a trigger. So I was like, anything that triggered me, I was pushing it away. Because I remember one of the doctors at the time actually brought Ismay in and said, like, is he depressed or stuff with me there? And I was like, oh my God, and I was like, no. And she's like, he's not, because she knew I could still go to work and stuff and talk at the people and stuff. It was just, I knew something was wrong and things were setting me off. So coffee was one of them. Got rid of it. Alcohol, got rid of it. Anything that would trigger me, got rid of it.
You were going through so much and it was having such an effect on every single part of your life, and you've had a long-term partner and obviously your family were involved and everyone was involved with you. How much of a ripple effect did your health issues have on the people around you?
Yeah, the massive effect, because Ismay was the first person that like really was like, Jesus, something knows something wrong. 'Cause she's me every day. Then she was the first person that believed me. And she's such a good partner like that because she knew that I went from a man that was outgoing, drank pints on a Saturday, being honest. And I was a coach and I would never would have hid that. I would have liked pints on a Saturday with the lads and, weekly takeaway, just normal stuff. Like, and then I'd be in work Monday morning, 6 o'clock, clients, train myself all week, not a bother. Like it was sounds, getting stronger, lying through life. Like I was like, Anthony, come at me. Like, come on, I'm ready.
Yeah, you're
Like
social, you're active, you had a good life balance. Yeah, absolutely.
you know me personally, like, so like I was just always wanting to do something. And then it just changed drastically. Fell off a cliff once I started noticing in December 23. It's had a massive effect because me and Ismay affected me and her. We couldn't do as much together because I was just not able to. My friends, I was pushing them away, as I said earlier on, wasn't going to social outings anymore. And not that they all wanted to go drink, I just wasn't doing anything with them because I was just saving my energy. I'm really pushing them away, and thank God I didn't lose them. They were good friends, but they didn't understand at the time. And when I even started to notice the mold, like, you know yourself, you feel like, at the time I felt like I sound weird or over exaggerating that it was mold.
I hear
Do you
you.
know?
Yeah.
A man that was like big into the gym and stuff, and like, it's like, man, it's a bit of mold when you cop on. And then like my parents' father, again, he didn't have a clue. He was like, "Ah, that's not it." John Irish father, tough as
Yeah.
fucking
Will you
nails.
cop on? Come on.
Yeah, man, fuck. My mother believed me. Others always in my corner. We
Yeah.
always lose. No
Always got
matter.
the queens behind us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's went round her eyes. And my sister didn't believe me at the start, but then test came back, blah blah blah. Started educating her more towards it. She really started linking the dots herself, and then even with her own circumstances, her own circumstances, she was like, "Jesus, you're right." And then she actually started sending me information, so it was kind of cool because they went from not believing me to like believing me, but like, Jesus, it actually is a problem, Arthur. I didn't realize,
I think it's so good to have people to support you and
I
help you
didn't
by
know.
sending you on information. Completely, yeah. Must have been so hard there though to be kind of not believed. Of course, people were worried about you because they're thinking this fella's not in a good place, whatever's going on, but not believing the actual cause that was coming up. That must have been quite tough to deal with in your own head.
Made me rethink everything. I was like, I'm very stubborn, and if you tell me to jump up on something, I'll keep going until I get up on top of the wall. That was kind of wearing away a tiny bit, but I knew deep down, again, going back to the gut, it's your gut, it's your second brain for a reason. That's what people say, trust your gut. I knew that I wasn't anxious at the first. I knew this wasn't in my head. And when blood tests started to come back, things were off. It made me even lean into that more and give me that power. I'm like, this is fucking real. This is not something people might think, oh, he's only being soft or whatever. I was like, I'm, not soft. Why do I go to the gym with that discipline? I've done hard things in my life, went through hardship. Everyone goes through hardship, but like, I've done hard things and keep doing hard things every day because that builds that mental resilience. That got worn away a tiny bit, and I was getting into like a weaker mindset or the victim mindset, which is not good.
Understandable, understandable.
And it was kind of scary, to be honest, because I didn't, before the diagnosis, I didn't know. And I was like, even when I started getting the diagnosis, I was like, is it really? You just question yourself, really doubt yourself. I really did doubt myself for the first time in life. But I stayed strong, kept pushing, kept learning more, doing more tests. And then it was just obvious as day that it was the cause. And I was so happy I found it. It was just closure more than anything. And I could back
Absolutely.
it up. People were like, there's nothing wrong with you. Well, why is this saying this then?
Look at the fucking test result.
Yeah, fucking 10 grand. Fucking look at this. Look at this.
I think it's so important to advocate yourself for that, in that, because even you start doubting yourself and everything. But I just want to circle back to what you said about the sweaty hands. You knew yourself so well that you knew something was off and you knew you had to go and find answers. So I think that what you said as well about trusting your gut and listening to your intuition, because as you said, it's your second brain for a reason, that these things don't get labels for no reason. And for anyone who's probably in that moment, they're kind of doubting themselves, they're thinking, I don't know, no one knows you better than you know yourself. And you are testament to that, because you knew something was up. You knew you had to keep fighting to kind of find answers. For anyone themselves who might be, they've listened to your story, they're thinking, oh my God, there's a few of those things now that are cropping up in my own life. What advice would you give them?
Definitely trust your own instincts. Again, going back to the gut. I know I'm raving about the gut, but I just love it so much. Just trust your gut. Just because one person says everything's all right doesn't mean everything's all right. Just because one basic blood test is done and there's nothing standing out doesn't mean you're wrong. I'd always chase it. I'm not trying to say that it's always going to be mold. If you can do genetic testing to rule that out, and once that's ruled out, that chapter's closed. Close that. I ruled out a million things. Thought I had MS when I heard about the brain. Thought I had Hashimoto's. Thought I had a heart problem with the palpitations. So all these weird things were coming. Thought my eyesight was going. Loads of things, ruled out. And once I kept closing chapters, I was like, we're narrowing it down, and it was making me happy because I was ruling them things out. And I was getting closer to the root cause. But I would definitely tell people to 100% not to give up. Just because someone said this, and don't let the thoughts of other people influence you, especially when it comes to your health, because it's serious. It's your health. It's your life. You've only one of them. So, do you want to make it good, or do you want to just keep taking tablets and covering it up and make other people happy?
Completely. And I just want to say, you were able to, as you said, keep focused on the positives that was happening rather than getting bogged down by, oh my God, it's not this, it's not this. You're like, okay, it's not this. I know I'm getting closer. So it's a completely great, you change your perspective on it, because it's so easy, as you said, like sulk or get bogged down thinking, I'm doing all these tests, they're costing so money, no one's giving me answers. But rather than being like, fuck, this isn't working, it is, I'm getting a bit closer to where I need to be to find out my answers. So no, thank you so much for sharing that. We're kind of rolling towards the ends here. Is there anything we haven't touched on that you'd like to share?
People forget that, like, your environment can make you sick. Your environment is everything. You hang around with 5 toxic people, you're going to be a 6th toxic person. So I was in a toxic environment, but it was my fucking living space, my apartment. So always dig deeper. People forget about, like, they're always like, oh, I got sick from this or that. It can be the thing that you're actually in and around most. And just to be aware of them type of things and not to be, over analyzing things and freaking out, because it'll always get sorted. It'll always light at the end of the tunnel. But sometimes you just have to dig a bit deeper, because some things are a bit more complex than others. The answer isn't just straight there. That's kind of like really not trying to freak people out, but like, freak out if you see mold. I don't freak out if I see mold now. Just have to be aware of these things.
Knowledge is power, and arming you with as much knowledge as possible. And as you said, you know what the contributing factor was to your health issues, but even when you see it now, you're like, I know that that's a problem, rather than being like, oh God, keep it away from me. It's a good space to get into, and no, you're absolutely dead right. One question that I love throwing at people, because I love getting the perspective on it, is what does happiness mean to you?
Good one. So that's a great question, actually. Happiness means to me, or what happiness means to me, is basically definitely health. When you're sick, you can't do anything. The only thing you want is to be healthy again. You just want to get back to normality. Being able to move my body, I'm blessed that I've 2 arms, 2 legs, little things like that. My family, happiness is definitely my family. Seeing my little boy healthy, happy, the most precious thing in life. Being a dad is the best thing that ever happened to me, hands down. No matter what I could do in life, like, I can't beat that. Do you know what I mean? Like, even people chase material things, and it doesn't mean anything really at the end of the day. You can buy the fancy Jeep, whatever it is. You're going to get that dopamine rush, but that's going to wear off. But like, memories of playing with your child, being in the sun with your child, like, I just love the sun. Like, staying, when I'm in Marbella, I'm usually here, steady. I'm up there when I'm there just for the sun. And now that I get to actually bring my son over there next time I'm going over this summer, I just walk to the beach with him and have a coffee and chill out. That's what makes me happy in life. And it's so precious. Like, that's a memories are for lifetime. Material things, they're dopamine spikes. And I would have been like that, to be honest, in my early 20s. I would have been 10 years ago. I would have been 100%. I think it was the ego, because I was into bodybuilding and physique, about looking good and having flashy car and nice clothes. Now I couldn't give a shite. Maybe it was the bodybuilding that triggered that. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was the age, because it was before Instagram was getting big, back then. So it wasn't Instagram that was causing it or anything like that. It was, I don't know, maybe it was just the time of my life as well. But now that means nothing to me, like absolutely nothing. Just little things, Jonathan. Walking in the sun, chilling out with my family, my partner, and as long as everyone's healthy, I'm fucking happy.
That's a beautiful sentiment. Like, and it just, I'm delighted to hear that everything is good and your health is on the right track, so you can actually spend time with your son and do the things, as you said, that are important, like make the memories. So no, it's beautiful, man. Thank you for sharing that. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, man. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Bilbo.
That was episode 39 of the Survival Project. I want to say a massive thank you to Arthur for coming on and sharing his story so in depth, and I'll have all his contact details in the description if you'd like to reach out. Again, I just want to say a massive thank you to Western Auto Parts and More for sponsoring today's episode. I'll have all their details in the description. Join me next week for episode 40 with Olivia Moore, who is an adaptive athlete with a stoma. Olivia is pushing the boundaries of what can be achieved with a stoma. She's a fantastic advocate. Please like, share and subscribe. It all helps me grow the pod. And thank you for being here, and hopefully I'll see you next week.